Hi, this is James, and I'm coming to you live from Charleston, South Carolina. Actually, Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, just outside of Charleston. And I hope you'll excuse the headset, but I'm shooting kind of late at night, and I don't want to disturb my wife asleep in one room and my son asleep in another. So I'm here in my lair putting together a little intro video for you, and I'm running kind of cutting it kind of close, right? Because it's almost 1 a.m. here, and you guys have access to the class starting at 6 a.m., I believe. So I just wanted to shoot a little video to put a face with a name and, I don't know, add a little personal touch to the class. I've thought about trying to shoot one of these every week, but I've never managed to do it. But each term for the past two or three, I've put together a little clip just to welcome you to the class and hit a few high points. Most of the way we'll communicate with one another this semester is through the discussion board in the online class in Blackboard. So that'll be the way we talk back and forth. There's other ways, of course. You can send me emails in Blackboard, which is where I prefer to get them, or to my personal email. Some students chat with me, IM over because I'm online a lot. But the main way we'll talk to one another is in the discussion board, more or less like a real face-to-face class where you talk in class. Literature classes really rely on discussion quite a lot. So even if you're shy by nature, which I am, but it's important that you get your voice out there. Really, no one will bite. I've never really witnessed any rudeness in any of my classes since I've been teaching. I really just don't tolerate that kind of thing, so it doesn't happen. And so it's a safe place where you can talk, and I'll gently have my own 2 cents about what you say. And sometimes the students say really intelligent things. I learn a lot. Every time I teach one of these classes, I learn something. There's always somebody out there who introduces me to a new way of thinking about some book or short story or poem that I'm already familiar with. So anyway, I just want to hit a few high points. This doesn't take the place of the syllabus, which is the official kind of contract that we'll use for the class this term. And it doesn't take the place of any of the online lectures or anything like that. It's just a little bit of hitting the high points to get things going. So anyway, I've sort of simplified things this fall with the assignments. Everything, all the major assignments, that is the 3 papers, are due on Thursdays. That should make life a little easier, and they're all due by 11:45 p.m. I make it 15 minutes before midnight because having things due at midnight is a little tricky with the computer and all, as it crosses that boundary from one day to the next. So it makes more sense to make them due a quarter till midnight. So Thursdays, all of your major papers, the 3 papers for this class will be due on Thursdays, quarter to midnight. I have a really strict late paper policy. That is, you only get an additional 24 hours. Okay, so they're due Thursday by 11:45 p.m. That means I'll accept them up till Friday at 11:45 p.m. And if you don't turn them in by then, you've missed the boat. That's it. You get a 24-hour extension, and that's all. I think that it seems a little harsh to people, but really these kinds of classes can't work if people are just trickling in their work the whole semester. It just doesn't work out. I need the papers in a batch. It's hard enough to get them graded in a batch, but I can't deal with them coming in a little at a time. So it's partly just a logistical thing, but it's also a kind of a responsibility thing. You need to turn your stuff in. Turn it in on time. Now you have to turn in all 3 papers for this class in order to pass it. You can't pass the class if you just turn in 2 papers, which means if you skip a paper, you're done. You might as well go drop because you can't pass. That seems a little harsh too, I guess, but this is the way the class works. The 3 papers are the most important things, and you got to turn those in. Then we also have a midterm and a final. You can skip those if you like, but I wouldn't because that's easy points compared to the papers. And we also have quizzes, reading quizzes, and those count 15% of your grade, so they're significant. The reading quizzes aren't meant to trick you up. They're just meant to see that you read things. Right now, there are 5 reading quizzes, but we may have more. It just depends on how many I have time to build. Right now I have 5 built, but I may build 5 more if I get on a tear, or I may just leave it at those 5. they're not meant to penalize you, and some people who don't do all that well on the papers do fine on the reading quizzes. So, rack up your points where you can. Uh, let's see. There are right now, I think, 24 of you. By the time this term is over, there'll probably be somewhere between 12 and 15. Quite a lot of people decide this course isn't for them. They get busy, they drop, and I think in the online classes we have more attrition than we have in face-to-face classes. It's just easier to get out of the loop. It's easier to say, forget it, I'll do something else, or I'll take it again next term. That's okay by me, but you have to decide what's the best thing for your academic future, right? Dropping a class is not a big deal. It's much better to drop one than to fail it. So if you look like, if you've skipped paper one, then yeah, you should drop. And a lot of us, I'll lose a lot of students after paper one. It'll just happen. Some people just will, for whatever reason, legitimate or illegitimate reason, will not get that paper number one turned in. And so they'll drop. And then that's the right thing to do in that situation. Just be advised of the drop date. Don't miss the boat. Don't accidentally, don't intend to drop and then not drop. I'm not trying to scare you off. Well, I am honestly trying to scare a few of you off. Every one of you that leaves is less work for me. But if you paid the tuition, you have a right to be here. So you'll have to figure out what's best for you. I think this class would be really hard to take if you don't enjoy reading and you don't enjoy writing. And by enjoy, I don't mean, you enjoy it the same way you enjoy a rock concert or whatever. But I mean, if you find those things painful, then I don't know how you make it through a class like this. The books you'll read, some of them will be quite challenging. You won't like all of them. I think one of the things that you learn to do in school is to learn about things that might not interest you all that much on the surface. And sometimes, though, they start to interest you. They start to become important to you. So be open to things that you might want to learn more about. But at the same time, don't expect that everything we read is going to be your favorite thing you ever read. And all these aren't my favorites either. Some of these are important, whether they're particularly fun or not. Just like, Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment is an important novel, even though I particularly don't like it, didn't enjoy reading it. But I'm glad I did read it, because now I know a little something about Russian novels that I didn't know before I read that. Excuse me. It's just water. I'm not drinking on the job. Okay, so 3 papers, 5 or 10 quizzes. The discussion forum. I'm going to require you, and this is partly to help out the shy among you, my brothers and sisters who are less likely to talk unless they have to. 3 posts per week. 3. You must post 3 times per week in order to get full credit for participation. Participation is 5% of your grade. You can blow it off if you want to, but it's a very easy 5%, because what I do is at the end of the term, I run a report, and I pull it into Excel, or Numbers now that I'm on the iMac. I pull it in and I just, I crunch the numbers. I do a little function to see if you posted 3 times per week on the average. So if you have a slow week, that's fine. You can kind of make up.